26th of June, it's live Rumble 2. It's the best in white collar boxing, and it's coming at you live and exclusive on the KO Cup and Seconds Out. We are live from 6:45. You can't miss this. Okay, Peter, so this week we're coming in-house with the talk. So it's great every week to talk about what's going on in the world of boxing and, all the ramifications of it and how things are changing. But this week it's fight week at South Walton Boxing Club. So quite exciting. We've got our own show coming up on Saturday the 26th. Now, this is a white collar show. We've been running these for 15 years and, the standard has been getting better and better and better, I think, is a reflection of the whole white collar scene, which really started about 15, 20 years ago. And it started off with, people coming in doing 3 2-minute rounds and, just having a novel experience of boxing with no intention of ever taking it anywhere else. And now, it's developed. Guys have been in this scene for a long time. They've come from the amateurs, often, and they've got a lot of experience, and you see a real high quality of boxing. There's places like the Queensbury League for people to go, and get exposure. And like I said, there's a real high quality of boxing around at the moment. I hope we're going to reflect that in our show, very much so. But really, I just want to talk about how we got here. So obviously, 26th of June, we had planned for it to be an event with crowds. We did an event in October, which was behind closed doors. We were the first white collar boxing club to do a behind closed door event. It was very successful. We got 10,000 views on the night across 103 countries. I love saying those figures because I'm still amazed by them. But it was a successful event. Since then, there have been some other white collar behind closed door shows and pay-per-view shows and stuff like that, but they've been quite sporadic. So white collar is one of the areas of boxing which really is still been decimated by the pandemic. The shows just aren't about, a bit like the lower level pro shows just aren't about. And the amateur shows just aren't about. So it's only elite level amateurs boxing, really. Very, very few white collar and sort of top level pros. And that's all that really, that can manage to do it without the ticket sales. So, and we subsidise this show is how we're going to do it without the ticket sales, because we're going free to air. There's no charge, there's no cost. So, it's going to be a fantastic show. So, like I say, we had planned for it to be with crowds. We obviously, when the restrictions were extended, we did talk to the local council a bit and say, look, can we have a reduced crowd? Can we have maybe 50%? Can we maintain social distancing, move our bar outside? Unfortunately, those discussions have been fruitless, although, to be honest, these people have tried to help us. But the legislation is so complicated, it's changing all the time. They don't really know what it is, and they've kind of said the safest thing is to say no. So we're going back behind closed doors. But what a package we have got going behind closed doors. So luckily, we partnered with the KO Cup, so we've got the build-up of all the fighters on there. We've got all the information about the show, and it will obviously be streamed live on the KO Cup. And this time as well, we've got other partners coming in Seconds Out. And Seconds Out are going to do the production this time. They're going to do the filming, and they're going to broadcast it as well on their YouTube channel. So we're going out live across YouTube. We're going to have a fantastic production. We're going to have an amazing spectacle. We've got brilliant fights, and so I really can't wait for Saturday. It's really exciting. I'm a bit disappointed there's not going to be crowds, but I've kind of got over that now, and we're just planning, and we're going to do the best we can in terms of production. So it's going to be sit at home, get your beers in, get your nachos in, take a little break from the football, because this will not be disappointing. There won't be goalless straws in this show. So, to run through the show, we're going to start the broadcast at 6:45. And like I say, you've got a choice of platforms to watch it on, whether you want to watch it on Seconds Out or whether you want to watch it on the KO Cup. We'll start the first fight at 7 p.m. So the first fight is going to be James Parsons against Baton. A very exciting fight. Now, relatively novice guys. Luke comes from a rugby background, used to play for London Irish, so he's a big old unit. He's a strong guy. But this is his first fight. James has had one other fight. Is a more tricky southpaw. So it's going to be interesting. And these guys are boxing over 3-2s because they're relative novices. But I think they're both going to give a great display. Then we move on to Joe Woods against Niall Harris. Now, Niall comes from an MMA background. Joe is more of a pure boxing background, but for both of them, it's their first fight, so it's the 3-2s. But an interesting clash of styles. Joe, coming from that, he's trained a lot. He's a young guy who has been through the junior system in the club. Boxes very well off the back foot, uses a very long jab. Niall, as you can imagine, is a little bit more unorthodox with that MMA background. Throws sort of a lot of overhand stuff and comes in from a low crouch. So I think it's going to be an exciting fight. Then we start to move up a bit, and we've got John Stoffer next against Tom Archfold. Now, Tom Archfold has got a history. You know, he's had some really good nights on our rumbles, on our shows. He's boxed up at Queensbury, you know, and he's had some really good victories on Queensbury, but he's been out for about 3 or 4 years. So he's just coming back. You know, he's just got the appetite back for it. He's in the gym all the time. John is a really exciting prospect. You know, the progression of this guy is unreal in the gym. You know, and he just latches on to people, latches on to the more experienced guys, gets in there sparring with them all the time, holds his own. You know, where he started off being carried and looked after, he's now really holding his own and really pushing hard. You know, but it's going to be his first fight. But these guys, you know, normally I like first fights to be over 3-2s, you know, because I always say to the guys sparring, he's not fighting. You know, you won't know how tired you'll be after the first round. But you know, John has impressed me so much in the gym that we're going to let this one go 5-2s after a lot of badgering. So this is going to be a 5 2-minute round contest, and you know, it's John's absolute tenacity, fitness, come forward, you know, style against Tom's, you know, more experience, elusiveness and quickness. So, you know, that's a really interesting contest there, you know, with really the experience against almost the enthusiasm, but the fast developing skills of John Stoffer. Then we move on to what I'm calling our co-main event. Now, this one is going to be 4 3-minute rounds with 10-ounce gloves. And this is Dave Fabisiak against Joe Howard. Now, Joe Howard is a kind of seasoned campaigner on the white collar scene, and this is actually for the South Walton Boxing Club light heavyweight title. So Joe Howard's a seasoned campaigner. You know, he's beaten a lot of people on the white collar scene. He's got quite a reputation. We did have him against Josh O'Brien. Josh has unfortunately had to pull out with a blood infection. So in comes a guy, Dave Fabisiak, who we've known at the club for a long time. He's a pro K1 fighter. Has fought MMA, you know, very, very tough guy, and really does his boxing here at the club. But he's fighting out of Empire Muay Thai Gym. And, you know, I mean, Dave will bring it. I've seen him in the gym the other day, you know, working with Darius, working, you know, on his boxing. I mean, I saw him spar 8 3-minute rounds the other day at a fast pace. So, you know, the guy really knows it. And he's, again, these guys from these unorthodox backgrounds, as, you know, to pull in a bit of boxing, Addison Silva showed this weekend against Chavez Jr. You know, I mean, these guys can box. They really can box. And, you know, and Addison Silva at 46 came in and took a split decision win over Chavez Jr. So that was quite something. And they box in a slightly different way. And this is what I think Dave will bring, an unorthodox style, you know, and he has that strange alternation of pace, you know, where it's like bang, 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 bang. And, you know, which I use a lot in the MMA. So that's going to be a really interesting one. So that's 4 3-minute rounds, South Walton Boxing Club light heavyweight title. Then you come to another interesting fight. This one's over 4 2s. It's Ben Howard against Grant Barber. Yes, Ben Howard is Joe's brother. So it's, you know, one brother after the other. And, you know, Grant is, you know, Ben's a little bit more of an unknown quality. You know, he sits back on his punches. He throws fast shots from a low guard. Grant has a nice high guard, more of an orthodox boxer, and we saw him last time out on the rumble against George Pickett. You know, where he lost that fairly close decision. But you know, just a good all-round box fighter, Grant Barber. You know, been at it a long time, had a lot of fights. Really knows what he's doing in the ring, very skillful. So that's going to be an interesting one to see how that plays out. And then George Pickett comes back as well in a real challenge against Richdson. And this one is over 5 2-minute rounds for the South Walton Boxing Club cruiserweight title. So this fight, I really can't wait to see. You probably remember Richdson again from last time. You know, again, a bit like I was talking about John Stoffer, just a guy that comes in and just eats things up. You know, just learns, puts things down. The enthusiasm is non-stop. You know, the absorption of knowledge is very quick. And he's only had 3 fights, but that does not in any way carry across how he boxes. Those 3 fights have always been, you know, his first fight was against a very experienced Polish kickboxer guy getting down here. Then he fought Neil Derry twice. Neil's had over 100 fights, and he performed a lot better in the second fight. So, you know, he really, you know, gets a chance to show his stuff. He's got very fast hands. He punches very hard. George, on the other hand, has that experience, you know, very much has that experience. You know, he's been through this club. He's been onto the Queensbury scene. He's boxed at a high level at Queensbury. He's gone out and won prize fighter tournaments. And this time he's boxing out at Team Pete, you know, where he gets a lot of experience and a lot of sparring. And, you know, I think it's going to be, again, can Rich step up this next level? You know, because every time we've given him a high level, you know, he's managed to come through it, and he's looked very comfortable at that high level. So this is stepping him up again. So, you know, when is he going to find his level? That's what we'll find out. But George will probably have a lot of tricks and a lot of things that he hasn't seen before. You know, and I think George will be a lot more relaxed in this fight. So that's a really interesting fight. Then we come to the second of what I call our co-main events. And this is the South Walton Boxing Club light middleweight title. And this is Bobby Collard against Liam Murphy. Now, this fight has been brewing for a while. You know, these guys, you know, there's always one of these on the cards. They've got to get it on because they don't get along. You know, there's been a bit of tension over that. You know, unfortunately, Bobby's had to pull out the last time through, you know, absolutely genuine injury right at the last minute of when the fight was set for October. So, you know, they both want to get it on, and they both got a point to prove. You know, they both think they deserve the bragging rights, and there's only one way to settle it and find out. So this is 5 2-minute rounds for the South Walton Boxing Club light middleweight title. So we've got a really exciting roundup of fights. Now, the format of the Behind Closed Doors show is that we start at 7 and we run straight through. There's no intervals. You know, we will have the fight, we will have an interview with the fighters, we'll go straight on to the next fight. So it's kind of non-stop action. You know, and also with the nature of the fights as well. So I think it's going to be a really exciting evening. I'm really looking forward to it, really looking forward to getting it out there, seeing if we can break some records with our viewing figures. I mean, I honestly think, I know everybody says this hyperbole-wise, I think this is the best card we've ever put on in 15 years. You know, I think this is the highest quality set of boxing matches we've ever had on. So I'm just hugely excited about this show, Peter. I can't wait to get it on. You know, I wish there was a crowd there to see this, but there will be a crowd out there to see this, you know, and I'm looking forward to taking our next step in this kind of broadcast journey, broadcast adventure. So, yeah, let's get it on. Live Rumble 2, Saturday the 26th of June. Watch it on the KO Cup, watch it on Seconds Out. Broadcast starts 6:45, fight starts 7 o'clock, and they don't stop until the end.